Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and Commander, this is the situation report or the SITREP for the day of 837th for the 9th of June. Commander, we have detected some sabotage. Some commandos or special forces unit have entered our AO, our area of operations. They are currently being geolocated at the area of the like button. I need you to take them out. Take out the like button, Commander. And we're going to start off with the Frontline changes report. And for those that you still have not joined the DPA army, we are recruiting for more cannon folders. So please press the subscribe button to sign up to be a cannon folder because we need to hold the trenches. So for the greater good, no, for freedom and democracy. The frontline changes, there is quite a number of changes again. We have frontline change over at Avdiivka, over at the Sumy region, over at, then the rest is all over at the Avdiivka front at Oskil, Novooleksandrivka, Oskil, and Umanske. So we're going to start off with the controversial one over at Sumy. So this has been reported by some pro-Russian channels as a possible beginning of a Russian offensive, which is clearly, I don't think is. The Russian forces have been geolocated inside Avdiivka, and this shows that the Russians have actually entered in this region. In this area, they are conducting a fire attack to attack Ukrainian positions around here. However, if you remember the Kharkiv offensive, a proper offensive don't attack from only one point, they attack in multiple points. The same goes to the Belgorod offensive on the Ukrainian side. They also attack from multiple points. So this is not a major offensive. This is probably just a probing attack. So just to swipe away this this excitement. No, you need to cool down, man. Cool down. Chill, relax. Drink some iced lemon tea. So the next frontline change is all over at the Avdiivka front. We start off with the one north of Oskil. This is Oskil. In the north of it, Russian forces have captured more grounds around here, taking the heavy entrenchment around this area here, as well as the entire tree line, as well as probably part of this entrenchment, which already has been claimed to be captured by the Russian side. But this is information from the Ukrainian side. So the Ukrainians have basically reported that the Russians have made further advances in this area here, continuing to slowly corroborate what is being reported on the Russian side already. So this is the Oskil. Over at Novooleksandrivka, the Russian forces have basically broke through the entire line over at Novooleksandrivka. It looks like the Ukrainian forces, the defense line has totally collapsed around this area. Probably they basically ran away in a way, and so that caused this breakdown in terms of the front line around this area here. This is actually a lot of change. Like we're talking about like a distance area of 2 kilometers square. So 2 square kilometers of captured ground by the Russian side. So this is quite a number of change, quite a huge amount of change. According to the okay, I don't want to go into details first. I'm just going to do the frontline changes. Later, we go into the strategy and tactical reporting. I tell you more about the story of Novooleksandrivka. It was an intriguing, it's a rainy night. And, they look at each other. But anyway, we talk about that later. The next frontline change is over at Oskil. So in this area here, there is a Bradley vehicle that was hit by a FPV drone in this area here. So this signifies that there is Ukrainian presence. This is not a Russian capture because it's unclear if the Bradley is newly infiltrated or not, and anyway it was destroyed, so it's a bit hard to tell if this is a capture. So tentatively I'm putting it as a gray zone for now. And the next frontline change after Oskil is at Umanske. So at Umanske there's two changes. One is over on the northeastern part. There's Russian forces geolocated at this tree line here, signifying the Russians continue their advancement. Actually I should have drawn this area here as a Ukraine claim invalidated. Let me do it now. Okay, done. So I added this Ukraine claim invalidated. So this shows the entire advance by the Russian side based on the geolocation. And over on the northwestern part, there is another geolocation showing that the Russians have started to push out from this buffer zone that the Russian forces have taken. So they didn't decide to just defend this river region. They decided to push further out. So we will continue to monitor the frontline change over at the Umansky region. So they are pushing out from this area here. So these are the frontline changes report. For those that are watching the clipping of this frontline changes, remember to watch the full SITREP, subscribe on both channels, the main channel and the DPA War channel. And we're going to continue to the strategic and tactical reporting. Did you see that Zaporizhzhia? Have you killed it yet? Why do I see shadows going around? You all tell you all to press the like button and kill the Zaporizhzhia, but you all don't listen. See, got me shocked. So we're gonna go into the strategy and tactical reporting, and we go back to Sumy again. So at Sumy region, as I mentioned before, a major big arrow offensive, have to be pretty big, and it should be in multiple locations. I would imagine, based on the other attack vectors before, you probably see attacks in this way, which will make more sense. And the idea is to take this road, to cross over to this road, and I'll take a few of these major roads, this area here. This one probably don't make sense. So they have to have some kind of a meaning in the offensive, and ultimately even this one will still feel like just a holding operation while the main push is over in this area here, maybe another push in this direction. So yeah, I don't think there is a Sumy offensive anytime soon, tentatively. It doesn't feel like the Russians need to do that because the Ukrainians are already very stretched. So we go into the Kharkiv front. At the Kharkiv front, the Russians seems to have returned on their pacing, their offensive pacing, with fighting being reported in multiple locations over at the western part of Khliboke, at Lipsy, Terenova, Ibitske, Senikove. Is it called Senikove? Sinelnikove, as well as in the area of Voschansk, in the battle of Voschansk continue. Shelling is reported over here at Zaporizhzhia. So this is the strategic situation over at the Kharkiv front. We'll go into details now. So not dwell too long on that screen. So Ukrainian Defense Ministry have published a report claiming that the Russians are attacking western part of Khliboke, and they also are saying that the Russians are attacking Lipsy. So this is the current situation. It didn't really change much. The strategic situation remains pretty much the same. The more interesting is this sector over at Terenova, Ibitske region. So the Russian Defense Ministry, they claim that they defeated manpower and hardware, as well as improving the situation along the front line. So this terminology can mean a lot of things. So tentatively, it could, based on our mapping way, the methodology, we just put it as an attack for now. Maybe it looks like this. Maybe there's some kind of attack. It could be just fire attacks. Also, that is also possible. But no, just take note that this is not necessarily a full offensive per se. So then we go to the Voschansk sector. So other than the usual that we already know that the Russians are fighting the Ukrainians over in the battle of Voschansk, there is this report. In the same report, they mentioned this location called Sinelnikove. Sinelnikove. And this is a bit interesting because I didn't put it as shelling, because there's a possibility that the Russians have already secured Haidishchev, and then they actually have progressed through the forest, hitting Ukrainian positions around Sinelnikove. So, or maybe through Avdiivka they move out. That's also a possibility, which is why I put this as a fighting, and we will continue to monitor this situation, because if the offensive arrive at this location, then it do changes the strategic and tactical situation around in this sector. So tentatively, we will continue to monitor the situation over at this Voschansk region. So there's a geolocation of a Lancet striking a Ukrainian artillery just north of Vasily, and of course the Russian Defense Ministry talk about shelling over at Zaporizhzhia, which they come with another name called Zosneve. So that's all for the Kharkiv front. Over the Kupyansk front, at the Kupyansk front, this area here also very activated. Russian forces attack at Sinkivka, Petropavlivka. This area is called what? Stepova, Novooleksandrivka, Pishane, as well as Svatove. This is a combination of both Russian and Ukrainian Defense Ministries report. So it's pretty activated right now. So we will continue to monitor. Not much details to really talk about, other than the situation here I already mentioned in yesterday's SITREP. Some kind of pincer is developing around here. So that's all. Moving away, over the Svatove front, we have fighting reported in the direction of Kharkiv, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So that's about it for the Svatove. Further south, over at the Kreminna front, we have Russians reportedly attacking Toske. There is a geolocation of Ukrainian forces just off Novooleksandrivka, which is the artillery striking Ukrainian positions north of the Terney front line around here. And then we move into the Svatove front. At the Svatove front, there is reports of fighting in the area of Ivano-Darivka and Vimka. The Russians also reportedly attacked Ukrainian forces in Serebrenka, probably shelling attacks. So that's all over in the Siversk-Front region. Moving into the Bakhmut front, at the Bakhmut front, there is quite a number of attacks being reported. In the northern flank, Russian forces attack in the area of Zalynyanske, Krychorivka, Canal district, as well as Ivaniske. So there is some geolocation of Ukrainian forces, a Humvee getting destroyed in the middle of Chasivya. I should use the color Chasivya, and a Lancet hitting a Ukrainian artillery south of Maiske. So the Russians are still grinding away. I just want to talk a bit more about this area. Is that I saw someone in the comments. I forgot what language is that. Is it French? So anyway, or German? Anyway, they're saying that some other YouTubers or like Duran or whatnot, they're talking about something different from what I reported. I do not know what they report because I don't watch other programs on Ukraine war because it's boring. Because I'm already working on the Ukraine war. We are all reading the same sources. So it's just the interpretation is different. As far as I am concerned, I have mentioned about the lack of meaning or for the Russians to push into Chasivya or conquer it, because the number of defenses around here is just a lot, and it is just a waste of manpower to bluntly push through this area, because it's just not necessary. In a grand strategic scale, a Russian push around this area here, you can just bypass most of this if you really want to. So there is a lot of ways to just cripple the entire Ukrainian forces over on this eastern front. So this is why I don't believe the Russians should take Chasivya, and the reality is that the Russians aren't also pushing into Chasivya. Even my contact on the ground, on the Ukrainian side, they really believe that the Russians is going to take Chasivya in a matter of a month. But a month has passed. The front line have not changed much. So the Russians are not doing suicide missions to take off Chasivya off this the ledger yet. So for me, this is just a kill zone. It's the same as Voschansk. It's just to attract Ukrainian forces attention and send people to die there. So we will just continue to monitor, because the Ukrainians put absurd importance on Chasivya and Konstantinivka. It's the same as the previous time they put absurd importance on Bakhmut. So to the Russians, honestly, these are not very strategically important India grand strategy. So if the Ukrainians want to be there, then you just become a kill box. So that's all for this northern part. In the southern part, we only have one report at Kupyansk. Russian forces fighting in the area of Kupyansk, according to the Ukrainian Russian Defense Ministry, and that's about it from the Bakhmut front. There's nothing over the Niu-York front. Over at the Avdiivka front. So at the Avdiivka front, there is the Russians. This is where I think the main offensive is. As I mentioned before, this is where the Russians basically broke through the defense lines, the major defense line, and everything behind is a lot weaker than what it is over at the Avdiivka city. Russian forces are attacking in the north of Ocheretine, Novooleksandrivka, towards progress towards Yekhanivka, Novooleksandrivka, Novooleksandrivka, Persia, at Umansky region in the west of Avdiivka, at Yasnobrodivka, as well as towards Kharkiv. As you can see, this is a massive offensive in this area here, and it's a lot more concentrated and a lot more intense. So this is, to me, this is where the main push is, and this is also where the Ukrainians should pay their attention at. But clearly, the Russians can always adapt. So if the Ukrainians under defend any region in the front line, then of course the Russians is going to take advantage. So there is no win for the Ukrainians. No, so it's just a matter of trying to guess where the next big hit hits them. So some geolocation around this area is at Oskil, as I mentioned about the Bradley. There's another artillery hitting Ukrainian forces over at the area of Mykolaiivka. In the northern flank, as I mentioned, the Russians are pushing out into Novooleksandrivka and in the southern part. And in this area here, this is significant. The Russian forces basically have captured more than half of Novooleksandrivka. The entire settlement is about to fall. The Ukrainians do have a massive entrenchment system around here. Just the length is almost a kilometer. It's 700 meters wide. So this is a huge entrenchment. So the Russians are pushing towards it already. So this is the insurance for the Ukrainians. The Russians are already coming to town. So in the southern part, the entire trench line around here has been also taken. The Russians have taken the entire tree line, and they are pushing in the southern part. And they could potentially go through the tree lines, avoiding the Ukrainian defenses around here, and basically go for Luzovsky. So Luzovsky will become the target. Then they can go for Timofeyevka, and this would just allow the Russians to go around and attack Vozdizhenka. So this is a like they can also not take this heavy entrenchment and just go around. So there is a lot of tactical play the Russians can do. So we will just see how the Russians play this thing. As I mentioned, I feel that this is the direction the Russians should go. Open ground, but of course to go the open ground, they of course need to secure the flanks, and this is probably what they are trying to do as they continue to push out. We shall see whether they will play out what I think, but they are pushing northward as we speak. So otherwise, we always have this report about Russian pushing towards progress and Yekhanivka, although it doesn't feel like it. I'm not sure why there's no mention about fighting at Oskil. I wonder if they have considered Oskil to the Russians, because Yekhanivka is mentioned by both Russian and Ukrainian Defense Ministry. There is no mention of fighting at Oskil. So there's a possibility that Oskil is so contested right now that the fighting is already moving towards Yekhanivka from the Oskil direction. So we'll just have to continue to observe and see how this develops around here. The Russians, of course, continue to consolidate positions around here, with fighting reported towards Novooleksandrivka and Novooleksandrivka, Persia. And the Umansky region is particularly worrying for the Ukrainians. The Russians have pushed out in two different directions, and they are being successful. Previous assumptions that the Russians may just hold a defense line along the river is now invalidated. The Russians are pushing out. They are probably going to hit Novooleksandrivka, Persia from the south, while the main push is coming from the east. So creating a pincer, which I always say that the Russian side like to do when they try to capture a settlement. So with this attack in this direction, there's a bad arrow. Let's do one more time, and another attack in this way. maybe another one in this way. So it will feel like the Ukrainians will feel more desperate. So this is a possibility. Fighting continues to move towards Novooleksandrivka. There is no progress, and the Russians are attacking towards Kharkiv. So which means that again the Russians did not seem to want to just hold at the defense along the water lines to basically just defend. It seems like the Russians are still pushing. So anyway, for those that cannot see, there is a river around here. The Russians have secured this area, and the latest geolocation shows that the Russians are there. They are probably looking to push into Kharkiv itself. This is already part of Kharkiv, by the way. This area here is already part of Kharkiv. So we'll see how this develops. So you can zoom in, you can see that this road, this is definitely under part of Kharkiv. Wow, this looks cool. I would love to come here to chill. Hopefully no mosquito, no. So moving away from the Avdiivka front, we move into the Donetsk front. At the Donetsk front, Battle of Krasnohorivka continues. There's fighting at Paraskovivka, towards Zolotaneva, Staromayorsky, and shelling at some regions in the Novooleksandrivka sector. So at the Battle of Krasnohorivka, there is geolocation of Ukrainian. This is Russian forces. Wrong color. Russian forces is geolocated in two different directions, with two different areas around these two areas. However, the Russians seems to struggle with this video footage. The Russians are crossing the open grounds, and then somehow they got shelled by artillery system. The armored vehicles got destroyed. So it looks like this possibility that the Ukrainians are still in this region is possible, because the fact that the Russians do not have an easy path through this open ground towards the southern part of Krasnohorivka might suggest that the Ukrainians are actually nearby. So that's one thing. And the Russians are geolocated here, basically confirming the Russian presence around here. But the Battle of Krasnohorivka continues to be difficult, and we will continue to monitor the situation here. So we move. There is a geolocation of counter-artillery action, not important. Paraskovivka continues to be fought over. This area here is, I think it's just a contested zone. No one dares to sit there, I guess. Interesting one is the fighting over at Zolotaneva. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, the Russians seems to be pushing a little bit in this direction, but probably just fire attack. So don't pay too much care about this for now. And then over at the Novooleksandrivka sector, this sector, Russian forces are still fighting in the area of Staromayorsky. The Ukrainians still managed to hold the northern part, so the Russians have not been able to do much. There is some shelling report in the rear positions. However, Russians shelled Vremivka as well as Blahodatny. So while they are trying to push Staromayorsky. So this is the current situation over at the Novooleksandrivka sector of the Donetsk front. Over at the Zaporizhzhia front, this is the Zaporizhzhia front. At the Zaporizhzhia front, there is only fighting reported in the area of Malatomashka, according to the Ukrainians. And nothing much to talk about. There is some rumors talking about Ukrainians conducting some counter-offensive in the Robotyne region. Totally fake. I totally didn't read anything about this. So, so that's all from the Zaporizhzhia region. Over at the Kherson front, as the Ukrainians return, Krinky returns. So this basically invalidates or at least contradicts Ryba's report. As I mentioned, is most likely fake, that the Ukrainians have already retreated from Krinky. But the Ukrainian Defense Ministry did mention the Russians are attacking Krinky, so suggesting that the Ukrainians are still around at Krinky. So very cringy. So that's all for the Kherson front, and that's about it. So this is the situation report for the day of 837 for the 9th of June. As you may see that there's a lot of icons around here. You can go to the map and actually access some of the videos. I've added the DPA Open Mic episode 82. The timestamp is already in. It's a great watch. We talk a lot of Ukraine war in this open mic, this episode of Open Mic. So do check it out. And situation reports and the Frontline changes report, I've decided to put into different grays, different tone of grays, different shades of grays. So the whitest one is the oldest one. So this 833 and 834, and then we have the 835 and 836 around here. So you can it's easier for you to access some of these reports rather than you need to search through the YouTube. And there is some other, the red ones is some of the macro geopolitical reports. So what the Russians are thinking, I think is something interesting, because we go into the current position of the Russian government. So it does give us some sensing, of what the Russians currently what is their realities are. What they are really thinking, what are they warning the West about. So it's all very useful. And there's only one analysis video. This is the one of about what the Russians are going to do after Ocheretine. I'm going to leave this here for a very, very long time because this big arrow, it takes a long time to play out. So anyway, thank you for watching. Have you killed that? He's still around. Kill him. And I'll see you guys in the next update.